Greetings, dear ones. It is a beautiful, but very, very, very cold and windy day here in Cherry Hill near Philadelphia. And it is February 29th. And we are still in the energy of the first full moon of 2021, which occurred yesterday afternoon in this area of the country, despite the fact that it's daytime. Of course, that doesn't make any difference when it aligns up and becomes completely full. And we have as well many, many other energetics here right now, helping us, showing us, and guiding us through the current collective consciousness theme. Excuse me. And that has been coming up very strongly as forms of greed and nothing new. However, there is always a new flavor with an energetic. It came in very, very strongly through different sources, and we all experience that. We can see it, we can point it out in public figures, in government officials, in other authority figures. We have a very, very interesting exhibition of it, if you will, in the stock market at the moment. And what happens when those who are used to having and keeping control of these resources, and in this case, money, stocks, and when the masses or the people outside of that small group have access to those same resources. So we are seeing it very, very blatantly right now. There's a whole interesting process going on in what is supposed to be a free market, and realizing that that too needs to change. We have, and to be aware, or to always keep at the top, excuse me, want to bring our space in even a little more, that change is constant. It is the one constant of the universe, or as Spock said in one of the episodes, that change is the primary principle of existence. And that's what we're going through. We're going through a major evolutionary change, and we all are participating in this greed. We see, happen to come across or stumble across a great movie this week called The Great Wall with Matt Damon and Pedro Pascal. And I enjoyed it very much. The visuals are a little bit difficult at times with the aliens or monsters that are in there, but the beauty of all of the rest far outweighed it. And these creatures will eat anything in their path, including their own. And certainly we have seen that throughout history. And one of the characters asks Matt Damon, or comments, she said she doesn't see much difference between the Tao Te, these monsters who will eat anything, and men in, beyond the wall of China. And he responds that the strong always take what they want. And that has been our history. That has been what we've been exploring, this form of duality, this form of humanity's exploration of all that we can stretch into in this pyramidal form, where a very small group at the top have always held the power and the resources. Nothing different nowadays, except that we are at a point in time when we have chosen to transform that old form of being and all of the lower frequency aspects of human nature that held it in place. One of them being greed, corresponding to the second chakra, and a hunger, an emptiness, a fear regarding lack, and not having, and wanting what others seem to have. And we have this powerful full moon energy that is helping us along the way, or teaching us, guiding us. And this is known in many Native American traditions as the wolf moon, because, or also known as the hunger moon, because the wolves at this point in the year would come and howl outside the villages because they did not have enough food, with everything being frozen and covered in snow, particularly in the east and in the north. So again, we have all of these factors present, trying to show us and teach us and give us an opportunity to look, for we all have that greed. We all have that insatiable hunger from some aspect of our very young lives where our needs and wants were not met. And those are not superfluous needs or wants. These are basic needs and wants, whether they are physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. And that's very significant, because when we still feel that our needs are not being met, then we are in that hunger mode, and we are wanting what others have. We are bypassing, perhaps, or setting aside law and rules of moral laws, or mores of integrity and honor to meet that hunger and meet that need. So the invitation for each one of us is to really explore where and in what way we each experience this greed, this wanting and needing, and willingness to compromise ourselves or betray ourselves in order to get what we want and need. So the invitation is there. And interestingly, again, it takes, an energetic or a landmass comes in at some point within this collective consciousness theme week or 2 weeks. And the area of the world that seems to be presenting itself was Scotland. Showed up in client sessions, showed up in different forms through, again, different resources. Any of you who have been following my work or have worked with me individually know that as you transform that which impedes your natural way of being, your psychic or intuitive or innate abilities that you came in with come online quite automatically. So in that, you can receive information through any resource. Our experience throughout our life of millions upon millions of bytes of information is what our internal knowing, our internal wisdom pulls from to bring us that information. It isn't always just nice, clear English sentences that you hear or receive through your mind. Sometimes most of the time, it is in symbolic form. So we have to be a little bit, we have to open our eyes and become a little bit, our energetic eyes, and be a little bit more receptive. So Scotland came in, and with that, several energetics, but one of the things that rudely or not, Scots are known for, or have been in the past, is their frugality. And this comes from many centuries of not having, or conquerors taking away resources. And so to be very, very judicious in what you use is another way of saying that. And so again, there's the invitation, the counterpoint to the greed is the invitation for us to find how we are able to use what we need judiciously, sustainably, consciously, rather than overconsumption and waste, which again, this isn't about what's right and what's wrong. It just is not going to allow us to continue on this planet if we constantly are consuming the resources without some means of recycling or supporting the land and the air and the water and the wildlife that maintains that circle of life. So as you're exploring that emotional or spiritual greed, which it can be if you are kind of far along on your exploration of yourself, your introspection, which we are in the time of introspection right now during the winter. It is the time to go within and really explore. And again, different themes come up for us to explore. And we are heading into a retrograde of Mercury. Now, there's been a lot of media surrounding that as a negative, but for the ancient astrologies, it is a time of introspection, a time to go within, a time to really look at self. Mercury is the great catalyzer. And if you utilize that, it has been very, very present for the past month, very prominent, in conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter as well. We've talked about that. So it was catalyzing on the outside world, let's say, a little bit more. Now it is hidden behind the sun, but still very, very strong and catalyzing the internal exploration or the internal issues. And as I said, we have that counterpoint in all ancient cultures, in indigenous cultures, in nature itself. We have point and counterpoint. We have balance principles. And so we have been out of balance in that theme of greed, overconsumption, not just here in the United States, but in the world in general, which is why we've brought ourselves to an edge in regard to biodiversity and global warming and the overuse of resources to kind of jerk us back into bringing back into balance that very subject. Just checking my notes for who else is here. The full moon is also known as a spirit moon, a time of prayer and confirmation for some of the northern and Canadian tribes, or what we now have as a border, that it was, again, a time to go within and for contemplation and prayer. So I invite you to really take advantage of here in the East, the still shorter days, and take the opportunity, use the energy of Mercury retrograde to explore within and contemplate and pray for the balance to return, and in this week in particular to that greed or overconsumption or grabbing and hoarding. We are also coming into, on February 1st into 2nd, the ancient Celtic, and by Celtic that's Irish, Welsh, Scot cultures of Imbolc, Imbolc. And this is recognized as really the beginning of moving into spring, when the animals first start to become pregnant, and just a very little curve of that pregnancy being visible, moving into the quickening. It is a time of really an indicator of hope that we're welcoming growth and the returning of the light as the days get longer and longer, and the witness to life's insatiable appetite for rebirth, as one writer shared. And we are going through that. So that inner exploration allows for the rebirth of that which is natural. The greed and the hunger and the hoarding and the grabbing is not really natural. Children learn that. It is not something that we come in with. So this process of evolution is transforming and potentially transmuting those aspects of us that impede or stand in the way of our true natural human nature, which is what we're heading towards. Excuse me. And again, we have that strong Druid energy. And for the information that's been coming through the ancients, this intergalactic council of beings that I've been working with for over 20 years, what they've been indicating is that it's even older than Druid energy. Druids is a name given to the tribes in the British Isles, and particularly, as I said, Ireland, Scotland, what's now Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. And it comes from the Indo-European word diru, which means the truth or true. And there are writings from ancient, not even ancient, from Roman scholars who acknowledged and recognized these this group of teachers and poets and astronomers and magicians and astrologers and philosophers um, who were very significant in the different tribes and cultures of the Celtic tradition, but that were, again, at a certain point in time, I believe it was the 1st century, they were slaughtered and conquered by or at the hands of, or at the orders of the Roman Catholic Church, as the church did to any culture that it deemed pagan or perhaps a threat because of their knowledge. Knowledge is power, and there was great knowledge of nature and medicine and law and the sciences and healing that the Druids, or even before that, the leaders of the Celtic peoples. And knowledge has been, kept from the masses for thousands of years in an attempt to keep the ignorance or lack of knowledge so that there is also lack of power. It's one of the reasons why there has been a concerted effort for many years, not just through this pandemic, but for many years, to disavow or in some way, shape, or form to denounce science. Because with science comes knowledge, and with knowledge comes power. And so each of us can empower ourselves with the knowledge of what's going on in our world on any level at this point. We have access to the internet, we have access to information from all different sources around the world, and that knowledge enables us to make the choices for a different world. It allows us to become just like an individual work. When I'm working with clients, it is the unconscious information, it is the subconscious information that allows for the transformation. For knowledge just of the intellect alone or cognitive awareness just can keep spinning and spinning, and you're constantly chasing your tail trying to change your behavior, when in fact it is a much deeper root reason for what is presenting in your life, and it is very purposeful on behalf of your soul. So when you can uncover and discover and begin to hear what your internal world, your inner knowing, your subconscious information that's held in your body and your energy field and accessible from your wider self, you are able to transform it in such a way that it is no longer part of your system. And that is the evolution that we are going through as a species as well. And that's just kind of a summary or an offering of what has been currently presenting through my sources and resources, the ancients and many other divine beings, as well as what has been coming through for clients and in their individual processes. So without further ado, I would say this is a really good time to be able to settle down in your seat, which is most beneficial by finding your sits bones and being able to, and they're right in the very center of your buttocks. If you kind of feel the area through the tissue, you can feel a very pointed or kind of a pointy bone. And those of you who do yoga are familiar with those bones. And when you are seated firmly on those sits bones, it enables you to settle down in your body, in your, allow your energy field to come down and into your body. For generally, we run our energy fields upward. In other words, we push it upwards unconsciously to be able to hold it in a controlled way through the will, or, kind of forcing, or to maintain it in an intellectual level or cognitive level, so that we can seem to or apparently control what we are feeling and what we're not feeling. This is unconscious on the part of your defense system, and it is the great journey to get past that and be able to access that which is true, that which is your truth within. So once you find those sits bones, I invite you to just bring your attention to your shoulder blades and just very, very gently let them slide down and maybe a little bit together. It isn't necessary to do that forcefully, but just to consciously do so. And when that happens, you may notice your back kind of being a little bit straighter, and it allows for your skeletal system to be the framework that it's supposed to be, in order for you to not have to hold yourself up. We so often do. We so often don't allow the chair or the couch to really take our weight. So I invite you to do so. You're welcome to lower your eyes. I would invite you to just leave them just a tiny slit open at first, and then once you are settled even more in your body and are able to go internally within, which the energetics are here to help you do so, then let your eyes close and truly trust your energy field, your wider self, your guides and teachers and masters to assist you in being able to come down and in to your internal world, your inner verse. For that is where you can encounter more of you. You can sit deeply in this vessel, this vehicle, allowing for the possibility of exploring or experiencing other realities within you. receiving information from your wider self, which is your soul self. So sometimes it helps people to say to themselves or out loud, I am asking and I am allowing my body. I am asking and I am allowing my energy field. I am asking and I am allowing my wider self. I am asking and I am allowing my guides and teachers and masters. I am asking and I am allowing all parts of me to join me here and now, assisting me, guiding me in my inner exploration. And remembering that we have so many helpers at all times, experts in every aspect of this human endeavor. And they make themselves known in the physical through symbolic form, through myths, stories, legends. Any form of information that you have ever encountered is an avenue that your wider self and your helpers can utilize to bring you what you need. In this case, we are, as always, inviting in Delphinion, the Master Gatekeeper, to open all doors, portals, and passageways that can in any way benefit you, and to close tightly all doors, portals, and passageways that can in any way cause harm, allowing you to sit deeply in the safety and security provided by the sacred geometric configuration of this particular container, with you located in the exact right spot, location, for your highest benefit. And rest assured that always, with the invocation of the Supreme Council of Universal Spiritual Law, that all that occurs, all that you encounter, all that comes to you is exactly and perfectly within law. And so in this container, just like in a big soup, we have many different ingredients at any particular time that allows for that mixing and blending and surfacing at any given moment of particular energetics or knowledge or aspects. But it is in that alchemical mixture that transformation can take place. And so all that you have encountered this week, or whenever you happen to listen to this, is invited into the mix. As well as greed, our own individual greed, our collective greed. And the counterpoint of judicious use of our resources individually, as community, as a nation, and as a global family. Community. Inviting in the ancient knowledge of the Druids, knowledge holders that came before them, the sciences, astronomy, medicine, alchemy, nature observation, magic, the full wolf moon, the first moon of this new year, this new decade, this new era, this new way. The hunger moon, inviting us to explore that which we hunger for in a more positive way, in a more creative way. And to recognize and remember and acknowledge and pray for the many, many millions of people, animals, on this planet that are in the throes of hunger right now. That we are able to bring to balance, bring back to balance the natural world, the circle of life. For there is such bounty on this planet. And when and as we explore and transform our individual and collective greed and sense of lack, the redistribution the reforming of this old, non-sustainable, non-productive way of old, where a very few, very small group control and hoard the majority of resources, whatever form that may be or has been. Allow yourself to simply sink downward and inward. Nothing you need do at the moment, but simply allow your energy field, your wider self, your guides and teachers and masters, and all of the energetics and helpers that are currently joining with us here and now. Bringing forth from your inner wisdom, your internal world, the information to guide you in the transformation of those same aspects within. For we are human and we each hold a form of that greed, hoarding, overconsumption. And as that is changed, transformed within, allowing us to sit in the truth of the abundance, the abundance of knowledge, resources within each of us, and a full spiritual and physical awareness of the abundance that this planet has and can afford us. When and as we cooperate and collaborate, communicate, allow yourself to simply sensate. No focus, no goal, no intention. Simply allow. Allow yourself to experience the within, not necessarily as you have done previously through the mind or higher mind or third eye. Allowing the information, the healing, the beautiful healing energy of the cosmic bodies offering their energy, their wisdom. Full moon, Mercury, Venus, all so visible, accessible. Two of the plant teachers that have been very present this week. Heather, and its sweetness that it attracts bees, creating the sweetest of honeys. Its ruggedness, its durability, its beauty within harsh environments. And moss, so many forms, so adaptable, so willing to offer its softness and lushness. And the hope and promise of spring. For thousands of years celebrated at this time of Imbolc, and the insatiable appetite for rebirth. Allow yourself to receive and take in. No active effort on your part needed. Your energy field and your wider self know exactly what to do, how to lead you, how to feed you. As the many animals and creatures and aspects of nature are hunkered down, yet there is such life churning, coursing, mating, preparing. So too, when you allow your system to go inward throughout this winter. Preparing, creating, exploring, discovering. Contributing to, participating in significantly, changing. The human species. By becoming more of who you truly are. The truth of you. And ever so gently allow yourself to feel and experience your own unique, organic process of returning from a perhaps less physical experience of yourself to a more physical form. Again, not forcing, not pushing, not leading, but instead simply feeling and following the way, the timing, the pace that your system dictates. Again, trusting that profound soul wisdom, the accumulated knowledge and experience that is held within your energy field of eons of existences. Trust that knowing. It is your knowing. And join me once again next week for another episode of Ancient Future Wisdom. And heads up for an all-day workshop in February taking advantage of that rebirthing. Announce it on Facebook and the website. And as always, it is with the deepest of honor, gratitude, and love for you being here on the planet at this time in all of your magnificence. Until next time, be well.